Venezuelan opposition has voted to remove Juan Guaido as the leader of its self-declared interim government. Now, this is a significant blow to U.S. efforts for regime change in Venezuela, a policy that was quickly followed by Europe. The USA has tried almost everything possible to remove the socialist government of Venezuela. There have been coup attempts, economic sanctions, none of that has worked. And now the false president that they've conveyed recognition on at the expense of Venezuela's actual leaders has come crashing down. Juan Guaido was one of the wealthy pro-U.S. students who took to the streets to protest against socialism. He took his cues from Facebook, Twitter, and none other than the U.S. State Department. Eventually, he was elected to the legislature. U.S. media loves to promote the anti-Maduro protests, but it chooses to ignore the very big mobilizations to support him and to support the United Socialist Party.
Once more, the old world can take a stand in support of freedom in the new world. Time has come for the United Nations to recognize interim President Juan Guaido as the legitimate president of Venezuela and seat his representative in this body. With all due respect, Mr. Ambassador, you shouldn't be here. You should return to Venezuela and tell Nicolas Maduro that his time is up. It's time for him to go. Hola, I'm Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States. And on behalf of President Donald Trump and all the American people, let me express the unwavering support of the United States as you, the people of Venezuela, raise your voices in a call for freedom.
All options are on the table.
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 Who can forget when humanitarian aid became central to the regime change narrative about Venezuela? The story was that Venezuelan leaders had lit a food truck on fire to prevent food from being delivered to their own people.
Masked thugs, civilians killed by live rounds, and the burning of trucks carrying badly needed food and medicine. This has been Maduro's response to peaceful efforts to help Venezuelans. Countries that still recognize Maduro should take note of what they are endorsing.
We denounce Maduro's refusal to let humanitarian assistance reach Venezuela. What kind of a sick tyrant stops food from getting to hungry people? The images of burning trucks filled with aid are sickening.
But later, the facts came out. We learned that it was actually the anti-Maduro forces who lit their own food truck on fire in the hopes of provoking an uprising. And let's not forget the coup attempts and conspiracies to kidnap Venezuela's legit president and replace him with Mr. Guaido.
Inside a glittering Miami high-rise, representatives of the Venezuelan opposition sat in a room adorned with samurai swords and listened to a pitch. They had been appointed by opposition leader Juan Guaido to explore all options in their US-backed quest to oust Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But the language of the agreement left no ambiguity on the objective. An operation to capture, detain, or remove Nicolas Maduro, remove the current regime, and install the recognized Venezuelan President Juan Guaido.
Venezuela's assets around the world have been frozen. Billions of dollars have been stolen outright as part of U.S. efforts to weaken the government. Washington offered a reward of up to $15 million for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro. Maduro remains wanted on the U.S. State Department website on the basis of widely disputed claims about drug trafficking. Only a few years later, we have U.S. officials now willing to shake his hand after all these years and all these efforts of demonizing him and calling him a dictator.
A quick handshake between two world leaders is going viral. Former Secretary of State John Kerry seen shaking hands with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
Comment ça va? Très bien. Vous allez bien? Ah? Oui, très bien. Alors, comment ça va chez vous? On est ici. Mais moi, je serais heureux que vous parliez longuement. Pero me encantaría que pudiéramos hablar un poco más. Qu'on puisse engager un travail bilatéral. Y que pudiéramos comenzar un trabajo bilateral que sea útil para el país.
But what about the pony America picked, Juan Guaido?
The person that you recognize as the leader, democratic leader in Venezuela is not here. What do you think about the absence of Juan Guaido here?
By whom?
Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to your government.
Memory problems? More like rising oil prices. Venezuela has got lots of oil, and the Ukraine conflict and subsequent sanctions backlash have now driven the prices sky high. Desperate to import, Washington put a big crack in the embargo they placed on Venezuela. Chevron, the only American company allowed to continue operating in the country, was told they can go ahead and start pumping. All this democracy rhetoric doesn't scream as loudly as the U.S. economy. Venezuela has got oil, and the United States needs it. So it looks like, finally, Juan Guaido is out of the picture. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.